She will never walk up to you and confess. She will never spell it out. But if a woman secretly loves you, her body, her eyes, her silence will always tell the truth. The real question is, are you paying attention? Most men miss it. They assume women will make things obvious. They wait for direct words, clear signs, or a grand confession, and because of that, they overlook what's right in front of them. A lingering touch, a question asked twice, a sudden change in tone when another woman enters the room. If you're like most men, you've probably been there. Talking to her, laughing with her, sharing moments and later wondering, did she actually care, or was it just in my head? You replay conversations, you second-guess her intentions, and in that doubt, you either push too hard or pull away too soon. That's where Stoicism gives you the edge. Instead of chasing signs or begging for clarity, the Stoic man observes, calm, sharp, patient. He sees what others miss, and because of that, he makes better choices without losing his balance. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what women do when they secretly love you. 7 subtle signals that reveal her feelings, even when she tries to hide them. Once you know them, you'll never be left guessing again. Let's get into it. Number 1. Her secret closeness. When a woman secretly loves you, she rarely announces it. She won't send you a text that says, "I want to be with you." Instead, she arranges proximity. She creates closeness without ever labeling it. That's how you know something deeper is going on. Most men mistake it for coincidence. They think it's random when she shows up at the same cafe or accidentally bumps into them after work. But if it happens more than once, it's not random, it's intentional. She is engineering closeness to feel your presence without risking rejection. Let's bring this to life. Mark, 47, a financial advisor in Chicago, recently went through a messy divorce. He wasn't looking for romance, he just wanted stability. Then he noticed something odd about Emily, 42, a colleague in the same office building. She always seemed to be around. In the elevator, in the lobby, even outside the coffee shop down the street. At first, Mark thought it was coincidence, but after weeks of these random encounters, he realized something else. Emily was placing herself in his path. She wasn't aggressive, she didn't flirt openly, but her pattern was clear. She wanted to be near him. That was her silent way of saying, "I like you, but I'm not ready to say it." And this is what most men miss. They dismiss it, or worse, they ignore it, thinking it's meaningless. Here's the truth. A woman who invests effort to be physically close is revealing something she's too guarded to confess. She values your energy, your presence. She wants to share space with you, even if she has no excuse to. And that is a powerful sign. Now, here's where Stoicism matters. A Stoic man doesn't overreact. He doesn't assume that every small gesture is a declaration of love. He observes, calmly, patiently. He notices the pattern, but he doesn't let it inflate his ego. He understands that women often express affection indirectly, through subtle shifts in behavior rather than direct statements. Mark handled it well. Instead of rushing in or pushing Emily for answers, he stayed composed. He acknowledged her presence, engaged in conversation, but never cornered her into admitting her feelings. That calm energy made him more attractive. Because she didn't feel pressured, she felt safe. Women test safety before anything else. When she creates secret closeness, she's really asking, can I be near you without regret? Will you stay grounded, or will you get needy? If you fail that test, if you start chasing, demanding, or boasting, you ruin the signal. But if you hold steady, her interest grows. Think about it. Proximity is one of the oldest forms of flirting. She chooses where to sit, where to walk, where to linger, and if she consistently chooses to be near you, she's giving you a gift, a glimpse of her hidden affection. Another thing to remember, secret closeness doesn't mean she's ready for a relationship tomorrow. It means she's opening the door slightly to see how you respond. That's why restraint is key. The more patient you are, the more she will lean in. The more you rush, the faster she will retreat. So the next time you notice a woman finding reasons to be close, whether she borrows your pen, takes the seat beside you in a crowded room, or shows up at the same events, don't dismiss it. See it for what it is, a quiet confession, not in words, but in presence. The Stoic man doesn't pounce, he doesn't overanalyze. He simply receives the signal, appreciates it, and continues to live in his own balance. That presence will draw her closer, until eventually she reveals more. Her secret closeness is not random, it's deliberate, and if you pay attention, you'll see the truth she's trying so hard to hide. Comment below, I notice patterns. And here's the thing, once you recognize the first signal, the rest start lining up. What comes next will open your eyes even more. Number 2. The memory of desire. When a woman secretly loves you, her memory sharpens. She recalls things you've long forgotten, small details, offhand comments, preferences you barely noticed yourself. And here's the thing, she doesn't do it for everyone. She does it for the man who's captured her attention in a way she can't shake. That's why her memory is a sign of desire. Most men don't connect the dots. They assume it's politeness, or that women just have good memories. But this is different. It's selective memory. She's not storing random facts, she's holding on to pieces of you. Maybe you mentioned your favorite band once in passing, and months later she sends you an article about their new tour. Maybe you said you were tired from a late night, and she brings it up later with a quiet question. Did you get some rest? Or maybe you casually talked about wanting to try a new restaurant, and suddenly she's suggesting it as if it was her idea. These aren't accidents, they're signals. The Stoics had a way of describing this kind of presence. Epictetus wrote, "When someone is properly grounded in life, they shouldn't have to look outside themselves for approval." That same principle applies here. A woman who remembers your words is showing approval without making it obvious. She's grounding her attention in you, silently giving you validation she won't say out loud. And that is powerful, because memory is intimacy. When she recalls your details, what she's really saying is, "You matter enough for me to carry you in my mind." That's not casual, that's not polite, that's desire disguised as thoughtfulness. The mistake most men make is overreacting. They turn her memory into a performance. They say, "Wow, you remembered that. You must really like me." And in doing so, they break the spell. They turn subtle affection into awkward pressure. The Stoic man knows better. He notices, but he doesn't flaunt it. He accepts the gift without making it a transaction. He understands that when she remembers, she's revealing herself little by little. The best response is calm appreciation, not neediness. Here's why this matters. Women reveal themselves in layers. They rarely confess directly. Instead, they let their attention slip through in moments like these. A remembered birthday, a recalled opinion, a comment that shows she's been thinking about what you said long after the moment passed. And if you miss it, you miss the intimacy hidden inside it. Think about the reverse. When you don't care about someone, how much do you remember? Almost nothing. You forget their words as soon as the conversation ends. So when she remembers, she's showing investment, emotional investment. That's not something to dismiss, it's something to recognize. The disciplined man doesn't try to force meaning out of it. He doesn't jump to conclusions. He just notices, calmly, with gratitude. And by doing so, he passes her unspoken test. Because she's not only showing affection, she's also watching how you handle it. Do you get flustered? Do you act like a boy overwhelmed by attention? Or do you stand in it with the presence of a man who knows his worth? That's the difference. So when she remembers what others forget, see it for what it is. Not just memory, not just kindness, but desire woven into thought, stored in silence, offered back to you as proof you've taken root in her world. Comment below. I see the signs. And trust me, if her memory stirs your curiosity, what comes next will challenge everything you thought you knew about control. Number 3. Jealousy in disguise. Jealousy doesn't always come with shouting or drama. In fact, when a woman secretly loves you, jealousy often shows up in disguise. It slips out in small changes in her tone, in her jokes, in the sudden silence when another woman enters the picture. Take David, 52, a real estate broker in Phoenix. He had no clue at first that someone close to him was interested. His friend Melissa, 44, a marketing manager, always laughed at his jokes and joined group outings. Nothing unusual there. But things shifted one night at dinner when another woman at the table complimented David on his watch. Melissa's smile tightened. She laughed, but it sounded different. She even teased, "I didn't know you were such a collector." It wasn't anger, it wasn't an argument, but it was a flicker, her jealousy in disguise. David only noticed because he paid attention. This is what most men miss. They think jealousy is toxic, or that it only shows up when a relationship is official. But secret affection creates its own brand of jealousy. When a woman wants you but hasn't confessed it, she still feels the threat of losing you. That tension leaks out in the smallest ways. Maybe she suddenly changes the subject when another woman's name comes up. Maybe she pokes fun at your choices, not to insult you, but to remind you she's paying attention. Maybe she goes quiet, leaving you to wonder why the mood shifted. These are all forms of jealousy disguised as banter, humor, or withdrawal. The truth is, jealousy is proof of value. She wouldn't feel it if she didn't see you as someone worth holding on to. But here's where men often fail. They either ignore it completely or feed into it with arrogance. Both are mistakes. A Stoic man responds differently. He notices jealousy without judgment. He doesn't punish her for feeling it, and he doesn't brag about it either. He simply stays grounded, because jealousy is not an invitation to prove your worth, it's a revelation of hers. It tells you she sees you as rare, as someone she doesn't want to lose. For David, the right move wasn't to tease Melissa back or demand answers. It was to stay composed, to engage her without escalating the moment. And that calm presence made her feel something stronger than jealousy: safety. Jealousy in disguise is her way of testing. 2. She's watching how you handle subtle conflict. Do you become defensive? Do you try too hard to reassure? Or do you stand steady, showing her that other people's interest doesn't shake you? Because here's the paradox: the more unshaken you are, the more she feels drawn in. Her jealousy doesn't scare her away, it deepens the pull. So the next time you notice that flicker, the tightened smile, the playful jab, the sudden quiet, don't dismiss it. Recognize it for what it is: desire she can't fully hide. A woman who secretly loves you might disguise her jealousy as a joke, a tease, or even silence. But beneath it lies the same truth. She's invested, she cares, and she doesn't want competition. That's why your calm matters more than any words you could say. By staying grounded, you transform her jealousy from tension into attraction. Jealousy, when handled right, isn't poison, it's proof. Comment below, I've seen this. And if you think jealousy is subtle, wait until you realize how her touch can confess feelings she'll never say out loud. Number 4. The touch that lingers. A woman can hide her words, she can disguise her tone, but her body often tells the truth she refuses to speak. And one of the clearest signs of secret love is touch, the kind that lingers just long enough to mean more than it should. It doesn't have to be bold. Sometimes it's as simple as brushing against your arm, straightening your collar, or letting her hand rest on yours for a second too long. To the casual eye, it's nothing. To the man who's paying attention, it's everything. This is her unspoken language, a message written on the skin instead of the page. Think about it. Touch is not casual. We guard our personal space. We protect our physical boundaries. So when a woman crosses that invisible line, Even subtly, it's deliberate. She's saying, I want closeness, but I don't want to admit it. Most men don't notice the difference between accidental touch and intentional touch. But if you slow down, you can feel it. The accidental touch pulls away immediately. The intentional one pauses. It waits. It lingers. That pause is her confession. The Stoics understood the power of restraint in action. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. When her thoughts are consumed with you, her body follows. Her hand stays a moment longer because her mind is already holding on to you." And this is where the disciplined man shows his strength. He doesn't leap to interpret every touch as a promise. He doesn't grab back, doesn't rush to escalate. He notices, he breathes, he stays steady. Because the truth is, her lingering touch is not an invitation to lose control. It's a test of your presence. She wants to feel if you can handle closeness without turning it into pressure. Many men fail here. They take that brief touch and explode with neediness grabbing, flirting too hard, turning the subtle into the obvious. And in doing so, they ruin the moment. They turn something intimate into something uncomfortable. The Stoic approach is different. Let her touch linger. Let it mean what it means. Receive it calmly, without demand. In that moment, you're showing her more than charm. You're showing her grounded strength. Here's why this matters. Women are masters of reading energy. If she feels you flinch, tense, or overreact, she pulls away. But if she feels you steady, calm, composed, warm, she relaxes deeper. She knows you can hold space without losing balance. And that's what draws her closer. Touch that lingers is her way of breaking the silence. It's her courage disguised as accident, her vulnerability disguised as playfulness. And if you can notice it, if you can respect it, you'll see the truth she can't say out loud. So pay attention. When her hand lingers on your shoulder, when her fingers brush yours and don't immediately leave, when she finds reasons to enter your space, it's not nothing. It's not coincidence. It's her heart speaking in the language of skin. And remember this, the way you respond tells her everything. You don't need to make a big move. You don't need to call it out. You just need to hold your frame. Let her know, without words, that you felt it too. Because when you do, the touch becomes more than a gesture. It becomes a connection, and that connection becomes the beginning of something she can no longer hide. Comment below. I felt this. If touch reveals her secret feelings, what happens when she finally opens her inner world? That's where things get truly undeniable. Number 5. Opening her secrets. When a woman secretly loves you, she won't always say it directly, but she will open doors into her inner world, doors most people never get to see. She begins to share her secrets. Not every secret is dramatic. Sometimes it's about her childhood. Sometimes it's her deepest fear. Other times it's a dream she hasn't told anyone else. What matters is not the content, it's the choice. She chose you to hold a piece of her truth. Let's bring this to life. Robert, 55, a contractor in Texas, had been casually talking to Jenna, 49, a teacher he met through friends. At first, their conversations were light, family, work, weekend plans. But one evening, over coffee, Jenna shared something. She rarely told anyone that she was terrified of being alone as she grew older. She laughed after saying it, trying to downplay the weight of her words. But Robert knew it was no small confession. She was letting him see past the surface. This is what happens when affection grows stronger. She starts letting down her guard. Secrets are intimacy in disguise. By sharing them, she's asking, "Can I trust you with my vulnerabilities?" Most men don't realize the importance of this. They either dismiss it with a joke or rush to fix the problem. Both mistakes. A secret is not an invitation for solutions. It's an invitation for presence. The Stoic man understands this. He listens. He absorbs. He doesn't flinch, doesn't judge, doesn't interrupt. He holds the moment with calm strength. That calm tells her, you are safe here, you can open more. And here's the truth, every secret is a test. She wants to know if you can handle her truth without breaking, if you can hear her weakness and still see her as strong, if you can hear her fears and not lose respect. Robert passed that test. Instead of giving Jenna quick advice, he looked her in the eye and said, I hear you. Then he let the silence stand. That silence was golden. It gave her space to breathe, to feel understood, and in that moment, her attraction deepened. This is why opening her secrets is such a powerful sign. She doesn't do it with everyone. She doesn't scatter her vulnerabilities around like confetti. She reserves them for the man who has proven, through steadiness, that he can be trusted. Think about it. When you open your secrets, you're handing someone a piece of yourself they could use against you. It's risky. It's intimate. That's why her decision to share is never random. It's love in disguise. So what do? You respect it. You don't analyze it to death. You don't brag about it to others. You hold it with the seriousness it deserves. That's how you show her she was right to trust you. Women crave that kind of safety. They want to know that when they peel back their layers, you won't run, won't judge, won't mock. And if you can give them that without losing yourself, you become unforgettable. Opening her secrets is not about information, it's about connection. She's letting you in where others are kept out, and when you recognize that, you'll see the truth she can't yet put into words. Comment below, I can handle truth. Because if her secrets reveal her vulnerability, the next sign will reveal something even stronger, the way she stands by you when no one else is watching. Number 6. Love in silence. Not all love is loud. Sometimes, the strongest form of affection is silent. When a woman secretly loves you, she often expresses it in ways that don't grab attention. Her quiet support, her subtle encouragement, the way she stands by you without asking for recognition, that's love in silence. You may not notice it at first. She doesn't announce it. She doesn't parade it. Instead, she pays attention to your needs in the background. Maybe she reminds you of something important you forgot. Maybe she encourages you when others dismiss your efforts. Maybe she simply shows up when you least expect it, not asking for credit, but offering her presence. This is where many men go blind. They expect grand gestures, obvious declarations. They want romance spelled out in neon. But love, especially secret love, rarely works that way. It hides in the quiet moments, in the spaces between words. A Stoic man recognizes this. He doesn't overlook the silent forms of care. He knows that real strength often whispers instead of shouts. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." In the same way, a woman in love doesn't waste time proving it loudly. She simply acts in alignment with how she feels. Her silence is not emptiness, it's intention. When she supports you quietly, she's testing whether you notice. Not because she needs your gratitude, but because she wants to know if you see her value beyond the obvious. And when you do notice, when you thank her, or even just acknowledge it with a smile, you pass the test. You show her that you're not blind to what matters most. Think about it. A woman who stays up late helping you prepare for a meeting. A woman who celebrates your small victories when no one else is watching. A woman who remembers your goals and gently pushes you toward them. These are not casual acts. They are investments. But here's the danger: many men ignore them. They take silent support for granted, assuming it's just friendliness. They only recognize love when it's shouted from the rooftops. And by missing the quiet, they miss the truth. A Stoic man doesn't make that mistake. He values silence. He understands that words are cheap, but consistency is priceless. He doesn't need a woman to declare her feelings if her actions already reveal them. Love in silence is about presence. It's about being there without demanding attention. It's about building you up without needing applause. That's why it's such a powerful signal of secret affection, because it comes without fanfare. It's pure. And here's the paradox. Silence speaks louder than noise when you know how to listen. Her small gestures, her steady encouragement, her quiet loyalty, these are louder than any declaration. They tell you more than words ever could. So if you find yourself with a woman who supports you quietly, don't dismiss it. Don't overlook it. Recognize it for what it is. Her heart on display, disguised as everyday care. Because the truth is, love doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers, and if you can hear it, you'll never mistake it again. Comment below, I value silence. And if love in silence shows you her loyalty, the next sign will show you her boldness, the way she paints a future with you in it. Number 7. A future she paints. When a woman secretly loves you, she doesn't just think about today. She imagines tomorrow, and she slips you into the picture. Not with a big announcement, not with a dramatic confession, but with small hints of a shared future. It might sound casual. She says, "We should check out that new restaurant sometime," or "If you ever travel to New York, you have to take me with you." Or maybe she teases, "When you finally slow down, you'll probably need someone to remind you to relax." At first, these sound like jokes, suggestions, passing comments, but they're not. They're brushstrokes. She's painting a future with you in it, testing how it feels to say it, and watching how you react. Let's ground this with an example. Anthony, 46, works as a project manager in Seattle. After his divorce, he wasn't sure he'd ever get back into dating seriously. Then he met Laura, 41, through a mutual friend. They started as casual company coffee, conversations, shared interests. But Anthony noticed something strange. Laura often spoke about next summer, when we both retire, or even simple things like, if we ever live near the coast. At first, Anthony brushed it off as light talk, but the more it happened, the clearer it became. Laura was projecting a version of life where he was part of the plan. She wasn't saying, "I love you." She was saying, "I see you in my tomorrow." This is a powerful signal, because women don't casually place men into their long-term visions. If she's doing it, it means she's already tied her emotions to the possibility of you. But here's where many men stumble. They either panic thinking she's moving too fast, or they miss it completely, dismissing it as meaningless chatter. Both mistakes. A Stoic man approaches it differently. He listens without fear. He doesn't overpromise, but he doesn't shut her down either. He acknowledges her words, holds them lightly, and stays present, because he knows her painted future isn't a demand, it's a confession disguised as imagination. When Laura mentioned her dream of a quiet cabin by the mountains, Anthony didn't laugh it off or commit immediately. He smiled and said, "That does sound peaceful, simple, calm, grounded." And that was enough. It told her he was open, not dismissive, present, not pressured. That's what matters. Because when a woman paints a future, she's vulnerable. She's letting you peek into her desire for stability, companionship, and intimacy. And how you handle that moment decides whether her attraction deepens or retreats. The truth is, every future she imagines with you is a rehearsal. She's rehearsing what it feels like to belong to you, not in words, but in vision. She's asking silently, "Do you see this too?" So pay attention. When she talks about trips, homes, holidays, or even simple routines with you in the frame, it's not casual. It's emotional investment. And here's the secret. You don't need to feed the fantasy or shut it down. You just need to stay steady, acknowledging the gift she's giving you. The gift of being in her vision. Because in the end, that's what love really is. Not just passion for today, but the willingness to imagine tomorrow together. Comment below, "I see tomorrow." And if her painted future feels bold, the next sign goes even deeper when her eyes betray what her lips will never say. Number 8. Eyes that betray her. You can tell a lot about a woman by her words. You can tell even more by her actions. But when it comes to secret love, Nothing gives her away more than her eyes. They betray her before her lips ever do. When a woman is around a man she secretly loves, her gaze lingers. She looks a second too long, glances away quickly when caught, then looks back again when she thinks no one is watching. It's not always bold, but it's rarely accidental. Her eyes reveal what her pride and caution try to conceal. You've probably experienced it. You're in the middle of a conversation, and suddenly you feel it, that heavy, focused attention. You look up, and she's already looking at you. Not at the group, not at the surroundings, at you. That's no coincidence. The Stoics understood this kind of truth. Epictetus once said, "Nature hath given men one tongue but two ears, that we may hear from others twice as much as we speak." If we update that wisdom, it applies here too. Listen with your ears, yes, but learn to listen with your eyes, because her gaze speaks volumes if you know how to notice. Her eyes don't just watch, they study. She's mapping your expressions, your movements, your energy. She wants to see how you react to others, how you carry yourself under pressure, how steady you remain in a storm. That's not curiosity, that's investment. And here's the truth, desire is difficult to hide in the eyes. A woman can smile politely at anyone, but the eyes that linger, that soften, that glow when you speak, those belong to someone who feels more than she's willing to admit. Many men overlook this. They chalk it up to friendliness or mistake it for general kindness. But the eyes don't lie. They give away what the mouth refuses to confess. The mistake men often make is calling it out too directly. "Why are you staring at me?" That kills the moment. It makes her feel exposed, embarrassed, even defensive. The Stoic man knows better. He receives the gaze without flinching. He doesn't gloat. He doesn't tease. He simply meets her eyes calmly, then continues being himself. That calmness communicates everything. I see you, and I'm steady enough not to need proof. Think of it like this. Her eyes are giving you an invitation not to jump, not to chase, but to notice. And if you notice with composure, she'll feel something far more powerful than attraction. She'll feel safe. Because here's the paradox. The more you handle her gaze without losing your balance, the more she leans in. The more she wants to test if you're as steady inside as you appear outside. And each time you meet her look with calm strength, her secret becomes harder for her to contain. So pay attention. Watch for the glance that lingers, the look that returns, the eyes that sparkle when the world around you fades. Those eyes are her confession. They are love in its rawest form, exposed for a split second before she hides it again. And if you're wise enough to notice, you'll never mistake it for coincidence again. Comment below, I read eyes. Because if her eyes betray her truth, the next sign reveals something even bolder, the passion that slips past her control. Number 9. Slips of passion. Passion is hard to hide. Even the most guarded woman, when she secretly loves you, will let it slip. Not always in grand gestures, but in flashes, moments when her feelings escape before she can cover them up. Maybe it's a laugh that comes out louder than she meant. Maybe it's a compliment that sounds a little too personal. Maybe it's the way her voice softens when she says your name. These are the slips of passion, the cracks in her composure that reveal what she really feels. Take Michael, 50, a lawyer from San Diego. After years of focusing on his career, he wasn't looking for anything serious. But then he noticed something in Sarah, 45, a colleague he often collaborated with. During meetings, she kept things professional. Yet, outside the conference room, the mask slipped. One evening, when he joked about being terrible at cooking, she blurted, "Well, that's fine, I'll just cook for you." Her cheeks flushed immediately. She laughed it off, tried to backpedal, but the passion had already spoken. That's the thing about slips of passion. They're spontaneous. They bypass logic. They reveal what words carefully chosen would have concealed. Most men miss them because they're subtle. They assume the slip was just friendliness or politeness. But when a woman invests emotion, Her passion leaks through in ways she can't control. And here's the key: how you respond matters more than the slip itself. Many men either jump on it pressuring her, teasing too hard, or ignore it entirely. Both approaches kill the energy. A Stoic man, however, knows the value of restraint. He recognizes the slip without exploiting it. He lets her words stand, offers a calm smile, and carries on without making her feel embarrassed. That composure is what keeps her passion alive instead of shutting it down. Sarah's slip with Michael wasn't really about cooking. It was about imagining herself in his life. A moment where her affection bypassed her caution. And Michael's calm response, just a smile and a gentle nod, kept the connection intact. He didn't need to demand more. He let the passion breathe. Here's the truth. Slips of passion are the purest signs of secret love. They're unplanned. They're raw. They come from a place she can't script. That's why they're so valuable. Because they tell you what her controlled words never will. Think about it. A woman can craft polite conversation all day, but when her guard falls for even a second, when her passion leaks through, you've just seen the truth. The disciplined man knows not to abuse that truth. He doesn't boast, doesn't call it out, doesn't turn it into leverage. He simply acknowledges it silently, allowing her to feel safe despite her slip. That safety encourages her to let more passion show in the future. So when you notice her laugh a little too freely, when she lets a fantasy slip into conversation, when her compliments sound more like confessions, pay attention. Those aren't accidents. They're her heart revealing itself before her mind can hide it. Slips of passion are not just words. They're confessions dressed as mistakes. And if you're wise enough to notice, you'll see the love she's trying so hard to contain. Comment below, I've felt that. And if slips of passion reveal the truth she can't control, the final sign takes it further, when she can no longer resist surrendering what she's tried to keep hidden all along. Number 10. The hidden surrender. Every woman who secretly loves you eventually reaches a point she can't disguise anymore. It's not a dramatic confession. It's not even a clear statement. It's something far more subtle, her hidden surrender. This surrender doesn't look like weakness. It's not about giving up her independence or abandoning her pride. It's about allowing herself to relax into your presence in a way she doesn't with anyone else. That shift is powerful. You'll notice it in small ways. The way she stops overthinking around you. The way her laughter flows more freely. The way her body language softens, leaning toward you instead of away. It's as if her guard, the one she carefully built, starts to crumble without her even realizing it. Think about this. For most of her life, she's been told to be careful, to keep her heart protected, to never let a man see too much. And yet, when she secretly loves you, those walls start to fade. That's surrender. Quiet, hidden, but unmistakable. She might let you lead without resistance. She might allow your opinions to influence her choices. She might even mirror your habits, adopting little pieces of your behavior as if they're now part of her. These aren't coincidences. They're signals of deep emotional investment. The Stoics spoke of mastery over the self, but they also recognized the strength in acceptance. Seneca once wrote, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." In her own way, when she surrenders, she is facing adversity, the risk of vulnerability. And by choosing to soften with you, she proves her love to herself. Hidden surrender also shows up in timing. Maybe she rearranges her schedule just to match yours. Maybe she stops entertaining other men, even though you've never asked her to.